Another edition of the Behind the U podcast. We're in studio. That means we got a big one. Welcome the new coach of the University of Miami basketball team, Jay Lucas. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You got it. Now, I'm used to doing these, as you just found out, but I was like, what can I ask Coach Lucas that he has not been asked yet,
Okay.
at least publicly?
All right.
And I think I got it.
All right.
I think I got it. Now, you're going to understand here, the derivation of this does not come from like my guy friends or the kids. I have two boys, their friends. It comes from the moms. Will there be a Jay Lucas basketball camp? That is what they want to know.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
There will be a Jay Lucas basketball camp.
You know how many people you just made happy?
I don't know, but I'm excited that they're happy.
A lot. So there's a little posse. My son's in 7th grade. His name's Parker. He's got a group of about 10 friends.
Is he any good?
He's all right. I don't think you'll be recruiting him. Okay. He can shoot pretty good.
All right.
He does have to develop a little bit for that. But there's a group of about 10 of them that attend almost every game. So you already got a little built-in audience at Palmetto Middle School, which you don't know where that is.
Okay.
But
I know where it is. I'm getting my Miami. I know where it is.
All right. So Palmetto Middle, you got a big fan base there.
Okay.
And that was the burning question. Do they have somewhere to send their kids this summer?
They do. They do. And we'll add some camps. We'll have more than normal, what it has been. So I'm big into camps. I'm big into getting in the community, and just having people feel like they're a part of the program is a big thing for me.
All right. So we got that out of the way. Good job. A lot of happy fans out there. I can't wait to tell them. All right, let's get into your story and your journey, Coach. And I was reading something, and your dad uses phrase. Now, it was in an article. Sometimes I've learned that the people who I ask don't always remember everything about their life. But if I say protect the last name, does that mean something to
you? Yes, it does. That's
okay.
One of the first lessons he gave me in growing up. And it's just a thing he always just instilled in me, and just making sure I'm doing the right thing, just as a person. Not even part of it had to do with basketball, but most of it had to do with just being a person and making sure I'm honest and loyal, and just some of the qualities I live by in my life have come from that statement. And then basketball wise, it was just, whenever you have a parent who's done something successful like him and has given your last name some type of pride and responsibility that comes with that on the court. So the same thing on the court, just making sure you're competing at a high level, playing to the best of your abilities, and just conducting yourself in the right way. So
do you feel like funny. Did you feel like people were coming after you and your brother?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And it just comes with it. You know what I mean? There's just when it's kind of like, you see some of these, I don't want to say we're celebrities. We weren't celebrities at all, but like
not
LeBron James.
Today you might have been a celebrity. You might have been a celebrity today. I don't know about back then.
Just those. It's just a different type of responsibility you have when you have to protect your last name, and just knowing that every game you just can't go out there and chill. So you just gotta go. You gotta go in attack mode.
I would imagine if you chilled, you might have heard about it from
absolutely.
someone in particular.
Absolutely, he's the one person. No matter if there's 5,000, 20,000, 5 or 500 people, I always can hear his voice, and I know where he is whenever he talks.
And how about the rides home in the car? Were those good job, son? Or if it didn't go good, was he telling you? Was he shooting you black and white and shooting you straight?
The one thing I will give my dad, he was always honest with me. He said, when we are in the gym and we are doing basketball, I'm your coach, I'm your trainer. I'm not dad. But when we're at home, we're dad. And he did a great job of separating the two. Now, the car ride was kind of the gray area. That was kind of the in-between. But he was a great dad, and he was a great teacher of the game and the sport. The car rides were both productive and critical, but
was your brother, what's the age difference between you and your brother?
6. He's 6 years older than me.
So not too many rides together.
No, not too many rides together.
That's a pretty big gap.
Pretty big gap, but I had my mom in the car, so she was kind of there to be the buffer, but it was never anything too crazy. He was always telling me the truth, and that's what you have to do.
So it has been told that your mom, I won't say discovered, right, but introduced you to Kobe Bryant somehow, right?
Oh, yeah.
And this is sort of where, I don't know, were you into basketball prior to that?
I was, but now you're really getting into my mom and her kind of claim to fame that she has about herself. So she has Michael
So we should
Jordan.
back this up, right? So your dad's coaching in Philly.
Yes, for coaching in
Obviously,
Philly.
Kobe is from Lower Merion, Pennsylvania.
We lived in the same neighborhood. So we moved to Philly, living in the same neighborhood. And it actually was my sister. So she went to Lower Merion with Kobe. She was a year under. And so she somehow became like the team, like stat keeper, manager type person. And so she came
Very
home.
smart.
Yes. So she came home one day and was like, we got this kid at school. His name is Kobe Bryant, and he is, phenomenal. She's raving. My dad was a really good high school player. And so my mom goes to a game, sees him, and she comes home and tell my dad, I saw somebody better than you. We're in high school. So then,
how does that go over?
Oh, loses his mind. He loses his mind. So now my dad's like in the middle of the season. They're not having a great season, so he's miserable. My mom's trying to drag him to this high school game. So he goes to the high school game, and he walks in and he sees Kobe's dad. So, Jelly Bean, like we call him Jelly Bean, they played against each other in the NBA. So, once they started talking, he figured out that was who his son was. Right? Put it all together. And so then he watched him. And after that, the rest was history. And he, those next years we were in Philly.
How old are you at this time?
I was probably 6, 7, first grade, second grade. Yeah, but I remember everything. For some reason, I remember everything when it comes to this. And he would come over and eat dinner. Kobe, he would come over and hang out. He would be the guy my dad would use in the pre-draft workouts to go against the guys he was thinking about drafting. So at 17, I remember
he would bring him over to the facility.
Yeah. So Jerry Stackhouse is going through his pre-draft workout. My dad ended up drafting Jerry Stackhouse, and he puts him against Kobe. And so Jerry Stackhouse is like, man, who is this kid? Like, what school did he go to? Like, why have I never heard about? My dad's like, he's 17.
Oh my God.
And so that was kind of how that relationship started, and that's really how my love for basketball started. Was growing. So
you were in attendance. So you were going to Lower Merion games.
Yep. I was going to Lower Merion games. I would be like behind the bench. I remember this one time I got pissed because we went with the team.
See, I got him pissed. I got him pissed.
I got mad because we went to the state championship. And
Lower Merion won.
We,
you said we.
Yeah. Me and my family, we all went to go watch the state championship, Hershey, Pennsylvania, and everybody's getting ready to rush the court because they're going to win. And so I'm 7 years old. I'm getting in position to rush the court. So I get down to the front, and all of a sudden I get picked up and I just get passed back to my mom. And I was furious, tears, everything.
So you had a genuine, real relationship with Kobe.
Oh yeah. He is. That was a devastating day for me, but he's somebody.
You remember where you were? Because I actually know where I was.
I remember exactly where I was.
I was with the Super Bowl was in town. It was at the NFL Experience, and I'm going through with my son, and every team, it was all over the place.
We had an off day. Me and my wife, we were watching like a show in bed, and my mom calls me like crying, like hysterical. Her and my sister was really close with him and his family. And she told me the news, and you don't believe it, like, Mom, all right, because it's also like the same time that stuff was coming out on social media where they're the fake.
You never know what's real or not.
You never know what's real, and then just it started to become real, and it was devastating.
So obviously, what were you able to get from, like, how did he impact and shape you? Like, not only as the young Jay Lucas who's watching this phenom, but then to have a relationship with someone who not only was an unbelievable basketball player, but just an unbelievable person, right? His love for the game, his determination, his work ethic, his intelligence, right? His business. But some of that's probably after the relationships grooms. But relative to a young kid, what were you able, like, how much could he have shaped you at that age, right? And as you were growing?
Well, the relationship kept growing. So the All-Star game, I'll just tell this quick story. The All-Star game was in Houston, my junior year of high school. And at this point, I was pretty good. I became a really good player. And he had this shoe release event that he invited me and my family to. So we go to the shoe release event. So we're in the back, we're kind of meeting and just talking, spending time. And I have a game the next day. I'm trying to convince him to come to the game. We're having this game for the All-Star thing. And so he's asking me, he's like, how many hours a day you working out?
Oh, right.
And I was probably, I was like 10 hours a day. I'm telling him I wake up at 6. I go, make 500 shots. I go to school.
Did you do that?
Yeah. I was like, I could wake up at 6 a.m. I go make 500 shots. I go to school. I leave school. I go lift. I come back, go to practice. Then I go back and shoot. I was like, it's about 10 hours. He's like, that's cool. He was like, I'm doing 14 at, he's like, when I was your age, I was probably doing like 18-hour days. I was like, I would just sleep when I needed to. you know.
Well,
And so,
you've heard those stories about him, right? If
yes,
I train at 4
yep,
and then train again at 9
yep,
and train again at 2, I put in
yep,
6 hours
yep,
before anyone's hit the gym for the first time.
exactly. So
And you were doing that in high
I
school.
was doing that in high
Now, was
school.
that because of you or your dad? Like,
It
was it the
was because,
benefit of being around your dad, or was that
yes,
self-driven?
it was benefit of being around my dad, but it also was self-driven. He would tell us like, if this is what you want to do, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to put our focus in. It's like, you're either going to do this full time or you're going to go work at McDonald's. That was kind of his thing. But it's just from that mentality. My dad had it, Kobe had it, but just that mentality of not skipping steps, understanding the value of hard work. What you put into it is what you get out of it. And that's just something that I've carried over in everything I do, whether when it's playing, it's coaching, it's building relationships, anything. I take that same mindset in everything I do.
And at the end of so it's man, that determination is mind-blowing. Seriously, because I think the fascinating thing to me about doing this podcast when you talk to people who've gotten to the highest level is
Right.
when they start talking like that. Because I
Mhm.
always think to myself, man, a lot of people claim to work hard,
Mhm.
and are plenty of people who do work hard, and there's a whole nother level of commitment to
Right.
be
Right.
at the level you're at. If you see a young kid that's at that level, do you think to yourself now, that kid's determined to be excellent, or man, maybe he's being pushed too hard? As
No,
does that make sense? Because some parents you walk that fine line of who's pushing their kid too
right.
hard and wants it too much for their kid. Does the kid want it as much versus who's dedicated to being great?
It's different times now, because now everybody, even high school kids, freshmen, everybody has agents. Agents have workout guys. So it's kind of,
Even in high school.
yeah, in high school. So it's like, we would go work out with my dad and everybody in the city would come. And it was like, it was like organized pickup and workouts and stuff. Like, it was intense.
Because you were working out with the guys he was training.
Yeah, work out with guys that are training, the NBA players, like everybody's in the same gym. But now most people are like by themselves. So it's like, I only want to work out just with me. Before you come in the gym and it's 50 people,
For someone like your age,
exactly.
that's hardening, right? Like
It's
you're
hard.
like,
You
I
may
got to
see,
step. Well, we'll go back to that first
yeah,
line. You better protect that last
yeah,
name.
exactly. So you may come in the gym and you'll see 10-year-old Justice Winslow and J.R. Smith going through ball handling together. That's just kind of how the gym was set up, where it was just kind
All
of
being run by your father.
all being run by my father. Now you go to a gym and it's just one kid working out by himself and just, almost like shadow boxing. And it's
Right.
not that realistic. Like, there is some value in it, and it is some value in the skill work, but also part of the skill work is going against other people.
Right.
And that's kind of what we did.
Competing.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing.
So you meet Kobe and you go through all that. You have your dad, and that's kind of basketball becomes your thing.
Yep.
Now is tennis in there too somewhere?
Tennis was the start of the thing.
Tennis was the start. Okay,
yeah,
got it.
That was the first sport he taught us. So ever since I can remember, probably like 4 or 5, I started playing tennis all the way until 9th grade is when I stopped playing tennis and just focused primarily on basketball.
So who's better now in the family?
Oh, my dad still.
He'd run circles around you guys.
Yeah, even at his age, he just knows where to place the ball, put the ball. He is still the
It's pretty amazing that he did both at a high level.
Oh, it is. It is. And he will tell you he was a better tennis player than he was basketball player. And that tennis is his true love when it comes to sports.
How come did you ever ask him why he didn't pursue it?
He just said, it wasn't as appealing as basketball. It didn't have the hoopla and the hype and, everything that comes with playing basketball a little bit more.
Well, times have changed in that sport too.
Yeah, it has. It's different now, way different.
100%. So you said you and your brother are 6 years apart.
Yeah.
So I always think about this with my sister. I'm 6 years apart from my sister. We're also obviously different genders, so that there weren't as many things to connect us, right?
Right.
She's playing with her dolls, I'm playing sports or hanging out with my friends. But for you and your brother, was basketball that bond?
It was, and he was the person, like, when you're a little brother, he's like the person you look up to. He's like your hero.
But I also heard you're more reserved and he's more
yeah,
outlandish or extroverted.
Yeah. We're like polar opposites. You know what I mean?
So would he poke and prod you?
He would.
Or do you kind of put his arm around you and look out for you?
He knew both. When he was younger, and when I was younger, he would poke and prod. But as I got older, like once I got into high school and stuff, he'd put his arm around me because he was playing in the NBA at that point, and he understood, my dreams and where I wanted to go. And he was a good high school player, a really good All-American college player at Oklahoma State. They went to the
Where did he
Final
play
Four.
high school ball?
At same high school, Bel Air. Bel
in
Air High
Houston.
School in Houston.
So that's where you guys kind of grew up.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you were in Philly. We were younger,
Yeah,
but your
we
dad kind of
bounced
settled
Philly,
in Houston.
Cleveland, but
Right.
I consider Houston home. And so does everybody in my family. So he played at Bel Air. So I followed him and played at Bel Air. And then he, like I said, was a successful college player and then played in the NBA for 10 years. So, you know, it's always kind of following him.
And he's coaching, right?
He is coaching.
Is he with the Aces?
He is with the Aces now. So he's kind of, you know, he's kind of the type of person that he's just a basketball junkie. You know,
So,
what
all
I
right.
mean? It doesn't matter.
So who's more of a junkie?
I am. I'm more of a junkie.
You're next level.
I'm next level junkie. Just in watching whatever. It doesn't matter. You just watch something and you're always trying to take something. So it's like any sport, kind of try to translate it to basketball and how we can.
So what if you're not watching hoops? What would you be watching? If you're watching a sport, what are you watching?
I watch anything. So I watch tennis. Of course, big college football guy.
Good. And you came to the right spot.
Yeah, came to the right spot. It was part of the deal. I got to have something to go to on Saturdays.
No disrespect to well, I don't want to get into that.
Yeah, not a football school.
No. There you're fine. You said it. You said it, not
I'll
me.
say it.
You said it, not me. You're at it. So you got to get the heart. Man, you picked the right year to come.
I did.
You picked the right year to come. First week. Ready to rock.
Good one. Ready to rock. I was with Coach Cristobal the other day. I told him, if you need me, I can stand right next to him. I'll pull him off the field.
I'll be
in the mix.
The pullback guy.
Just put me in the mix.
You got to be the guy that.
Pullback guy.
Yeah, the pullback.
He's kind of big.
They don't have that in hoops.
Yeah, no, we don't.
You don't have to worry about that.
It's supposed to be the ops guy or person at front of the bench, but they never move quick enough, and you end up with a tech. So I'm sure it happened to me this year.
So you're watching ball. So can you watch basketball? Can you watch any sport not like a coach?
Ooh, no, I cannot. That's a great question. No,
I feel like you guys are always looking at it and like it's instantaneous breakdown. What's going on, or why is he doing this? Why they're running this play?
There you go.
He set the screen on the wrong side. Why he went under instead of went over. He didn't help it.
No, I'm big on like reading the teams and like in that moment what they're going through and what they're thinking. Like, so you can tell everything that's going on in the game by just reading body language. Body language is like, it's the window to everything. You know what I mean? If the team is connected, if they like each other, if they like their coaches, if they believe they're going to win, you can kind of just see it all. So that's what I like watching, you know, with teams, just that seeing if they're resilient, you know, how close they are. That's what I like.
Why is that? So why is that important to you? I mean, I understand why it's important, but why is it important to you? That's a big thing for you. It seems like that would be a big thing for you as a coach and what part of your imprint on the team is going to be.
Yeah, because you can't, if you don't believe what you're doing, you're not going to win anything. And, you know, part of that is the coach. A big part of that is the coach's job to get them to believe, but a big part of that comes from them, each other, as teammates, players. They have to be able to have those honest conversations. You know, I like to say it's player-driven teams and coach-directed. You know, I can't drive the team and direct the team.
So they got to be the ones that want to be in the gym for 10 hours a day.
They have to. They have to.
Can.
And you have to build it. You have to show them and you have to give them, you know, kind of the blueprint to how you're going to do this and what it looks like and why it's beneficial. And then, you know, the one thing you kind of hope for as a coach is that they see the success from it and they see the value of everything that they've done and what it has led to. And then once that happens, it kind of gets the ball rolling.
So when you're recruiting, how much are you watching them play versus how much are you watching how they are?
Oh, I watch how they are. Because if I'm there sitting watching them, say this will be my third time watching them, I already know they're good enough.
Right.
And I want them to be there. So now it's watching, you know, their interactions. You know, how are they when they get subbed out? How are they when they go in the game?
I need to borrow you after this. I need you to call my son. We were having that conversation yesterday. My wife's like, dude, he's getting subbed in 1 minute, 1 minute out, 1 minute in, 1 minute out. And I'm like, well, maybe the coach is doing offense, defense. I wasn't there. Right. Maybe he's doing offense, defense. I don't know. He's a little bit better at an offensive player. Defense, a little bit of a weakness.
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm exposing my own son on this podcast. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. But then last night.
Now I know what to look for at camp.
Right. There you go. And then afterwards, last night I get home and my wife's talking to my son. He's like, you can't like, not disrespect the coach, but you can't, if he takes you out, just basically go to the bench, sit down. No bad body language. Don't give off a vibe like that. He's in charge.
Right.
Do it. So
yeah, it's a big part. And
a lot of that I need a quick message.
And a lot of that is the relationship, and part of it is on us as coaches to make sure we give that clarity to the players and understanding what we're doing, why we're doing it. But in the moment, it's hard because the game moves fast and stuff like that. And then
what he said to me, he goes, Dad, it's in the game. I'm emotional.
That's
I'm intense.
That's
I care. I'm like, I got it. Just manage that somehow.
Exactly right. And it's a big key, just even for professional athletes. You watch the game, it's the same thing. So just getting everybody to understand that and getting everybody to be on the same page is the biggest key. So in watching these kids, it's like if they fall, do their teammates help them? They'll let you know if they like them or not.
Oh, there you go.
You know,
That's
just
a good
little,
one.
just little things like that. You know, are they listening to their parents? Are they listening to the coach? You know, when they're playing or at the free throw line, are they looking at the coach? Or are they looking at their mom in the stands? You know, it's just all the little things matter.
Yeah.
So just paying attention to everything.
Did you listen to your dad?
I did,
How
but
were you? How were you?
I could hear him, but I never like completely reacted to him. But I always heard him. But I
Right.
wouldn't be staring at him and just locked in on him.
I'm interested. You know, well, I guess most people would know about what your dad went through.
Yeah.
Maybe they do. Maybe I suffered from addiction, came through on the other side.
Yeah.
He said something interesting, right? Your older brother kind of saw him go through that. You kind of saw the benefit of what he's become since.
Right.
And I was just wondering, when your dad was coaching, we'll start with this. When your dad was coaching in the NBA, did you see him? Like, how was that relationship, right? Because I know that lifestyle is extremely time consuming.
Yeah.
So was he, obviously he's traveling, but how was that relationship sort of nurtured, dad versus coach in the NBA?
Yeah, it's something that I have had to adjust to and take to myself, and I really base it off of him. He never missed anything that was important to me. And it was a big, big thing because I understand how important his job was. I understand everything you just explained, how taxing it is to be an NBA
That's
head
healthy.
coach. Yeah. And it was, you know, any moment or anything, it was never a moment where I was like, dang, I wish my dad was here or anything like that. He was always there. So I try to take that and I try to be there for my boys as well.
And then I guess there's a break, right? When he's done coaching and then he's kind of full-time running his facility in Houston. And now he's really, and this is about the time you're in high school, right?
Yeah. So it was my, so we left Cleveland and came back at the.
Oh, wait, time out. Is that where LeBron comes? Like, is that how LeBron made it into the intro video?
Yeah, it is. It is. So that is exactly how LeBron made it.
You've had some good mentoring.
I've had some. This basketball world has been good to me.
So what is this? So what? Give us the unravel the. This, so, I'm like, wait, here's the video. I'm like, LeBron.
It's very.
I was like, I'm trying to connect dots here. Like maybe it's Nike. I don't know. And then I was doing my research. I realized it comes from Cleveland, right?
Yeah, it comes from Cleveland. It's very similar to Kobe. To be honest with you,
phenom type stuff.
Phenom type stuff. He didn't live close to us. He lived in Akron. But when I got there, I started to play AAU basketball. So I ended up playing for his high school coach, Drew Joyce. It's called the Northeast Ohio Shooting Stars. And so we would practice at St. Vincent St. Mary's. He played for the older version of the high school team. So he would always be around and like come and mess around with us at practice. And then, of course, by now, you know who LeBron is. He was big.
He was at the forefront of this whole.
Yeah, he was already, he was already big. So now this was probably summer his sophomore year, going his junior year, like right before he really skyrocketed.
And you're just looking at this guy going like, you're really good, right?
I'm 7. Yeah, I'm decent. I'm not as good as.
You said you were really good.
Yeah, I got really good in high school. This was like the start of it.
You're in middle school now.
Yeah, this is middle school.
So you're looking at this guy going, that's a freak of nature.
Yes. And so then he came and started like, you know, my dad got suspended. It's like a whole thing. My dad had him come and play against the team and do all this stuff. And they ended up getting called.
Wait, he got suspended for something with LeBron?
Yeah, for LeBron.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it was a thing. He came and got suspended because LeBron like came and played pickup with the Cavs.
Your dad was smart. He's always trying to get these guys.
Yeah, he was.
He's always coaching.
It is. That's a big thing. He's always coaching and coaches everybody. It doesn't
matter who it is.
Yeah, no matter sport.
No matter what it is.
Yeah, no matter what it is. Life. He's more of a life coach than he is basketball.
Well, he's had a lot of, he's experienced a lot.
Exactly. And so it was the same thing. LeBron would come and work out and do all this stuff. And then it was just a relationship from there that kind of continued on.
Do you think, what your dad has been through and being a life coach as an assistant so far and moving forward now into this role, how do you think that'll shape you in terms of how you handle your team, right? I feel like he's had a lot of different experience, right? He's probably been at some of the worst that most people would be at, right? And now he's been able to, he successfully kind of overcame that, sought help, has helped others overcome stuff. And I think sometimes, probably unless you've been in those shoes, there's probably different ways to look at that, right? Like you can kind of push someone to the side, say he's just a bad apple, or you can invest in that person or understand that along the way, right? Not everyone's life is on this perfect trajectory. So does that shape your interactions with the players you've been with, and how do you think it might shape your interaction with your team moving forward?
It does a lot. because, you know, a lot of the times these are still, I know it's a different time, different age. They're still kids. You know what I mean? They're still 18, 19, 20-year-old kids. They're not developed emotionally, mentally, mature enough to be treated like adults. I know a lot of people want to treat them like they're professional athletes just because of the new time
Right.
and everything that comes with it. But at the end of the day, they're still kids who are trying to come into their own and trying to become young men, and understanding the value of having those conversations and using my experiences. They're not like my dad, but I've experienced a lot within basketball and life that I just try to pass on. I like to always say, like, there's nobody in that age gap uh, I haven't been through or experienced something they've experienced. So taking that from my dad and being able to share your experience and making them genuine and authentic and showing people that you understand where they are and kind of meeting them where they're at, but also showing them where we need to get to and kind of what's the standard, and understanding the discipline and the consistency that goes into that is a big key for me.
Your dad seems to be a really good connector.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Just because what I explained, he's able to be genuine and authentic. Now, you know, he's a little bit different and a little bit more in your face, and than me. I have that, and I know when I need.
Will he be around?
He'll be around, of course. Of course, he'll be around. But for me, you know, just understanding through the relationship and through that bond, I'm able to have honest conversation with you. Like, I can tell you something really truthful and honestly in this tone and get my point across instead of having to really scream and yell at you.
So how are we doing so far?
Doing good.
Any areas of improvement I could work on as a podcast?
You're doing good. You're doing good. I can tell. I can tell you're a pro. I can tell you got a lot of podcasts under your belt.
I do. Thank you. I thank you. I appreciate that. How did you learn of what your dad went through? That was before you were. Yeah. It was before you were even here.
He was honest. He told me, and you know, you always run into people who say nasty things, so we had to be prepared for what we were going to be said. You know, what people would say to us and bring up about my dad. But the one thing I told him, he never kept any secrets. He was open and honest about everything he went through, why he went through it. And I know you spoke about it earlier, but you know, my dad always told me, you know, me and my brother had two different dads. You know, he had the dad,
what's that, right?
And it shaped two different people. That's kind of why we're polar opposites too.
Is it?
You know, he had my dad when he was going through what he was going through was a little bit, you know, more on the aggressive side. You gotta go take what you need. And then, you know, when I was being raised by my father and what he is now, and going through his recovery and being, you know, sober for I think 38 years now. You know, I got the discipline, the consistency, the tell the truth, the no shortcuts, you know, so that's kind of molded and
you've seen him work, right? I mean, So can you describe that facility? Like, what is the? I don't even know what's the. I know it's John Lucas Enterprises, yes. Right? He has his own facility in Houston, or
he does. Yes and no. We'll put it that way. You understand. If you ever meet my dad, you understand people love him. So any facility is kind of his facility. And you know, like you said, the value of hard work. My dad would go to an AA meeting every morning at 6 a.m. That was how he started his day. And then he would go and train people in tennis right after that. In tennis. So he trained Lady Lori McNeil played on the circuit. He would train kids just like he trained basketball. He'd go train tennis. And then he would come to the gym with me and have a group of us in the gym. And then he would go and kind of help people in their recovery throughout the day. So he would take them to meetings, counseling, stuff like that. And then we would be back in the gym at night. He would train people at tennis at night. And then he would go take care of the people in recovery and taking them to meetings and dinner and being around them and kind of life coaching them at night. And then he'll wake up and do it again. And it was 7 days a week, 365 days. And ever since he stopped coaching, when I was in the seventh grade.
You said coaching like professionally?
Yeah, professionally. So seventh grade.
Doesn't sound like he stopped coaching.
No, he's never stopped coaching.
But
professionally, ever since he stopped being a head coach, it's been the same routine. And so, you know, watching that as a young kid, you just understand how hard you have to work. And it really, when you find your purpose of what you want to do, it's not work. Well, you know, this is something you want to do.
So this is part of the research. So this was written about your dad, is that basically coaching is something of a spiritual pursuit, helping develop young athletes as both players and as men serves as his life's calling.
Yep. And it is.
Is that to a T?
That's to a T. It's to a T. And that is the definition of coaching to me. You know what I mean? I know basketball comes with X's and O's and like that, but how are you shaping people? How are you helping young men leave better than when they encountered you the first time? It's a big key.
So you've had we've talked about LeBron, we've talked about Kobe, but because of your dad and the people you've had to interact with, are you particularly close with anyone that, like, have you been able to develop relationships with those people that are now in your life regularly?
Yeah, it's those. It's weird. You have these relationships where you cannot talk to people for months.
Yeah.
Like a LeBron or anything like that, and I can call and ask for a favor, and it's right away. Those relationships just have been built over time. Working out and being around people is just that respect.
We might be calling for some of those, but some of those calls might be being made. By the way, speaking of your dad, there's great tennis in and around this area.
Yes, it
so we got to
is.
figure a great course
Yes,
to get
it
him
is.
involved in. So
I know.
You're good.
I'm trying to get him in the
You might have to open a
pickleball.
facility here.
Yeah, I'm trying to get him into pickleball.
Are you a pickleball guy?
Yeah, I've gotten into pickleball this last year, me and my wife. So we've gotten into pickleball.
I had someone come in the other day to work to my full-time job talking about paddle.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is though.
Yeah, it's like this little indoor plexiglass.
That's what because I've never really seen it. He's actually from over in
it's
overseas.
A little bit too deep off the racket sports for me.
The only thing about pickleball is I didn't realize it was all a net game.
Yeah, kitchen.
I didn't realize it was just net.
Yeah, gotta get to the kitchen.
I thought we would play some baseline. I could long volleys.
Nope,
no, just smash each other.
Yeah, just right in the kitchen. That's it.
Oh my God. So you would agree that you were the more quiet one and your brother's the more outspoken one?
Yeah, I am. And a lot of it has come from different experiences. He kind of reached all his goals and dreams of playing in the NBA. I kind of fizzled out once I got to college, so it kind of shapes you a little bit different. And you're kind of
Does that bother you at all?
It is kind of my driving factor.
Is it?
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's funny because I was watching, there's this thing on Danny Hurley that they did like a week ago. And some of the stuff he was saying.
He said he's embarrassed and he got really emotionally down. I think he had to seek
I
help.
didn't get that dark,
Good.
which I'm blessed to not have gotten that dark. But some of the stuff he was explaining, as a younger brother of people who have been highly successful ahead of you, and some of the stuff you have to encounter when it doesn't go that way, and how you view yourself, and it's a big thing, and that's kind of like my chip on my shoulder.
So we do have there is if I peel this back a little bit, it's not always this big gregarious smile that I see.
Oh no. This is just my everyday face, but when it's time to compete and when it's about getting better, when it's practice, when it's a game and it's competition, a different side of you comes out.
So when you were done playing, when did you know you wanted to be a coach?
It kind of just happened. It never was something I knew I always wanted to coach, but I played in the G League. And that's really what made me retire.
Didn't like it?
Yeah, just didn't like it. And so then I had the opportunity to go coach at my alma mater at Texas. And it was an assistant coach, Rob Lanier, who actually was my assistant coach at Florida my freshman year. And he told me like halfway through my freshman year, he's like, when you're done playing in Switzerland, I'm going to hire you to be a coach. And at 18, I'm like, all right, get out of here. I'm going to play 20 years in the NBA. What are you talking about? And sure enough, he called me. I had an opportunity to be like a special assistant, which was like a paid GA, didn't have GAs at Texas. And that's how I started. And he lived up to his word. So he kind of got me started, him and Coach Barnes. And so I did that. And, I'm thankful for that experience because it showed me everything that needs to go into coaching, from having to break down film, what it means to be like a video coordinator, rebounder, holding the pad, running the clock, just little things that's needed to help a program be successful that people may think is not a big deal, but it is.
If I'm not mistaken, I think we can do 6 degrees of Rob Lanier. Because did he not coach Jack McClinton?
I don't know. That's a good question. He may have.
I think Rob. So I might have the wrong.
Did Jack
guy.
Go to Siena first?
Yes.
Yep. Then it was.
Then he coached.
Then he coached Jack McClinton.
And he got here.
Yep.
Because of Frank Haith.
Yep.
Who was with Rick Barnes.
Yep.
At Texas, and they're friends.
Yes.
And that's how McClinton got from Siena to here.
Exactly.
And I'm sure you know Jack.
Yeah, I know Jack.
We can probably know everybody.
Jack knows everybody, and I know Jack.
Jack knows everybody. You know everybody. Everybody knows everybody.
Right.
Now, can we get you to? We got to get you to dress like Jack. Can you get your game day to look like Jack?
I don't know if I can.
That's
that
wild
off.
stuff. I'm not comfortable.
No,
in that.
he's 101. Yeah, I'll leave that to him.
He was a nasty player.
Yes,
though.
he was. Step back Jack is what I call him.
Step back Jack.
Step back Jack.
Yeah, he was. He hit one in Cameron from 35 feet right in front of the student section. That was lethal.
Yeah.
He was unbelievable. All right, last couple of things I got to get you go. So you mentioned to Texas, Kentucky. Duke. What'd you learn from Shaka Smart?
He, besides my dad, is my foundation of coaching. You know, with Rob Lanier, Coach Barnes was a little bit, he's older now, but he's a little bit older even when
But he's so feisty. It's funny to hear him talk. You hear him talking like, wait a second, he got that twang and he can get all intense.
He is one of the most intense competitive coaches you could ever be around. But he also has his way he likes to do things. So Rob Lanier will always tell me, Jay, it's not like this everywhere. So it's not like this everywhere because coach would just show up before practice and it worked. He had his way of doing it. So when Shaka came and he asked me to stay because there was overlap when Shaka was at Florida with me and Rob Lanier. So we had a relationship. So he asked me to stay. And I mean, he was in the office 8 a.m., 8 p.m. You know, just the value of building relationships. Culturally, he is the best in college basketball of building a culture and being able to explain a culture. And he would have weekly meetings with me it was entitled Becoming a Successful Head Coach.
So not just pouring into you.
Oh, he poured a lot into me. So everything, you know, in my template of becoming a head coach started when I started working with him. He's the one that gave me a list of questions to start answering that you need to do, even to the point of like, what's going to be your opening line in your press conference.
Did you use it?
I did not. It changed, but it changed. But a bulk of my speech I've had written for 8 years of what I was going to say, how I wanted to say it, or what I wanted to talk about. And of course it adjusts and changes because through the years you become a different person. But he poured so much into me and my coaching philosophy in the sense of building culture.
Coach Calipari?
Managing people is what he is one of the best at.
Yeah.
And telling the honest truth. It doesn't get any better.
Some of that's by his own doing, right?
On doing, but also, you know, coaching elite talent, you have to be able to tell them the truth and get them to understand that everyone has to sacrifice for the greater good of the team. And by doing that, everyone will be successful individually as well. And
it's probably easier said than done.
Yes, a lot easier said than done.
That's a lot of my son walking off the court.
Exactly. So that is one of the biggest keys I learned from him.
And then lastly, your last run with Coach Shire?
You know, for me, a big key was working with somebody who was first-time head coach. And that was the only reason I left Kentucky to go to Duke, is for that opportunity and for that opportunity of my growth as a person and a coach. And for him, just his attention to detail with taking over a job. And this is a little bit different than me taking over my job because he had everything was kind of just being not passed down, but kind of already set in the system, but you still have to do things your own way with stuff that
it's probably harder.
It's a lot harder. As I was about to say, his is a lot harder.
And the guy's still in the build or around.
Yeah, still around. And, you know, just the attention to detail that's needed when taking over a program of how you want things operated, how you want things ran. Just the terminology you want used in the whole building around the guys, just that level of detail was something I took away from him.
Well, Coach, it's a pleasure having you.
No, thanks.
Thanks for being here on Behind You and sharing some of your story.
Yep.
And we'll look forward to seeing those camp dates being released.
Yeah.
And we'll get in the Watsco packed.
Yes.
And we got to get a team.
We got to get a team. We'll get a team. That won't be an issue. We'll get a team.
Yep. Get a team and roll that ball out and we'll have some fun.
Yeah. The bigger issue I'm worried about is you said only a group of 10 kids at Palmetto Middle School. That is, if we got to get that to about 100. So that's my next step.
We might have to do Jay Lucas visits Palmetto Middle School Day.
Done.
Done?
Yeah.
Oh, you put it on the record
now.
We
can put it on the record. I will be at Palmetto. I don't know when.
That's fine.
But
we got some other stuff to do.
I'll be there.
All right. Awesome. Thank you very much. Appreciate you doing this.
Thanks for having me.